Test, test, test.
Hey, hey, hey.
Sweet. All right, thank you. Everything working well in there?
Yeah. When I was eating lunch, I just saw your message.
Yeah, so I had a meeting with them about setting up the customers like we had set up our company, right? So they'll have child underneath the parent company. And Lori had a question in terms of billing that we would want to, do we want to be able to see payments and everything from the children, not everything all rolled up into just the parents? And I assumed, yes, we'd want to see broken down by children.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's really, I think she said she'd be on this call too. But if we want any more specifics on that, feel free to ask her. Her and Amir were both on the call, so they're aware. But it sounds like they have to do a little bit on their end to set that up, and then we should be good.
The AI. I put a franchise tag on.
Oh, I'm not paying franchise
Oh,
money.
it's free. Okay. This means, it means no take back. Oh.
I thought it meant you were gonna pay us to take
I told him I've already signed with AI if it comes. Take over.
it. I think you might have to add an asset with them.
Oh, shoot.
Kinda like the Blues have to do to get rid of their bad contracts, they have to give asset with the contract.
Don't have any more assets.
But I think you might have to keep it.
Oh, I knew this then. Did you play hockey or?
I did. Through high school.
Oh, through high school.
I played baseball in college, sport actions after high school.
We were talking about it the other day, cause some boyfriend was a hockey player, and when he breaks those bags with the pads, holy shit, we were talking, they're worse than, football or anything, they are the stankiest damn things.
Yeah, they're awful.
It's like, good lord. Kept wondering, why is he leaving outside the garage? The other day I walked in and they were in the living room, I was like, holy crap.
They stand up by themselves, I'm sure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That was a good game, sir. Too bad they lost. It was still. So good. Winnipeg's one of the top teams, so. The Jets. Yeah. So they were, they got. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you, Amir?
Good, thank you very much. How's everyone doing in the conference room?
We're all good here.
Good. I'm gonna try. Okay. Let me know when we are ready to move, chug along, and let's make this a very productive session today. I'm looking forward to this, and thank you for, first of all, everybody coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can probably go ahead and start. Brian's the only one not here, but he should be here in a minute or two, so go
Okay.
catch up.
Actually, I have to just swing around and get my notebook in front of me. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we did talk about manufacturing last time, and we left it at the fact that you need to go and understand your data, right? So let's start from there. Where do we stand and how do you feel about your item master? And I would like to get some better understanding on both ends, yours and ours, that what does your item master look like and how do we need to make sure that we can get the data that you have in NetSuite and start structuring that properly. And then from there, we will go through one step. From there will be the next step will be going through how we'll manufacture it and et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't mind, I'll open up the floor to that. Where did we get a chance at WPC to do any homework on the item master?
We haven't got to the point of uploading anything just yet.
No. That's perfectly fine. Don't upload anything. That's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. But do you have any sense that on what the item master would look like? let's take one assembly. If you remember, I talked about having one assembly and the components for it.
Yeah, so, I think we have, what we have at this point is we have
Mhm.
our items broken out into different categories, some of the obsolete, some of the ones that are phantoms, some of the ones that are raw material, and some of the ones that are finished goods.
Okay.
What I don't think we have is like what I would call AAI codes that say, when this item does this, the accounting side of it would hit cost of goods sold and,
Oh yeah, yeah. That
so.
perfect.
I,
I'm not too worried about that at this juncture. I think with the team, Garrett and Todd, as they come along and be part of these calls, we will get that easily done. Not worried about that. I'm more concerned about what our structure will look like. What does a finished good look like, and how, if it's an assembly item, what components go into it, right? And then from there, the level of the work centers it touches, and et cetera, et cetera, and the labor charge and what kind of labor we need to capture on each one of them. So those are the kind of questions that I was looking at purely from an operations perspective. The accounting will be as the discussions continues and we get into more detail, the accounting will be mature as we go along.
all right, so if I understand what you just said, you're looking more for an example of like a finished good that has a bomb and routing it on it.
Absolutely. Mhm.
And do you want us to send, like 5 examples of that to you
Yes,
to
that
look
would be
at? Is
great.
that
That will be great.
Nick?
Mhm.
All right,
And
Nick, is that something you can do?
Yeah, so I talked to Brian the other day. He gave us 4 examples.
okay,
So
perfect.
I got 4 examples. I think what messed us up the other day is we was the inventory and then the assembly items,
Sure.
how they're separate.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't anticipating that.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, that's when what they call the record type in NetSuite, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's what,
yeah.
that kind of threw a haymaker at us.
Okay, but again, I think we can work through it and see how it all comes down to you. It's essentially raw material and finished goods. We can, and again, anything can be an assembly at the same time. But if we want to model it correctly in the how it is in the real world.
So
So
Amir, quick
yeah.
question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say inventory, are those purchased items?
So yes, anything that you purchase and do not build and do stock are modeled as inventory items, or should be modeled as inventory items in your system. Assembly items are things that you would like to build, right? And then as you build, you could capture the consumption of the units that go into it, and also the labor and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the lump sum difference between the two and how you
But
want
you
to
can but
model
you
it.
can still purchase assembly items.
Absolutely. You can
Okay.
absolutely purchase assembly items. I had a customer in during COVID who who used to manufacture. During COVID, everything had shut down, so they were buying stuff. So therefore, they converted all their inventory items to assembly items because they knew in the future these will actually be what do you call it? These will actually be purchased, but because of this the supply chain issues, they had to build a lot of their stuff, so they were building it on site. So therefore, because of those issues, we model things that way. So as a NetSuite, yeah, there. But again, you do not want to model everything in as assembly. That's it's not the right way of doing it. Inventory item has a purpose. There's you don't want to bulk everything up as an assembly item in your system. You want to make sure that what an inventory item is modeled as properly inventory. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So having said that, if we can, if you can you share those 4 examples or one of those 4 examples, and can we walk through what manufacturing looks like at WPC?
Let me see what I got here. Okay. Can you see this?
Perfect. Yes, I can see that. Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So this is one of the structures he wants to see.
okay. Right. So the name of the structure is, sorry, I can't see that on my screen. 6E158667. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So this is the assembly item that we're looking at.
Yes, that is the
Okay.
assembly item.
Thank you. So this is the component that we're going to build.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you the what we call the bottom of it,
Okay.
which is
Perfect.
if you see it has our routing and then our material underneath it.
Okay, so routing. What do you mean by routing? Let's just make sure we're on the same terminologies.
Well, in this case, it's just assembly, so just assembling items.
Okay, got it.
But
Understood.
later down in here, there will be some like machining.
Okay.
There's a
Understood.
hone.
Okay. So if I were to see this, so the first step is so we're gonna be building 61E1587867. That's the item number, right? And then all of these sub assemblies, sub build processes that we have to go through.
Yes,
Okay,
some
understood.
of them are phantom.
Some of them are phantom. Understood.
Yes.
I think we all agree on what phantoms are going to be. Absolutely. We are going to be setting them aside the build process. Okay, understood. Makes sense. One of the things that I think I recommend is that we start with a bottom level assembly. This makes it
Okay.
slightly easier, like a leaf level, and then when we can pick it up. So for our example, I wouldn't mind just building up one chain of this
Okay.
assembly structure, not all of it, because I understand there'll be a lot more processing required, and there's definitely complexity over here when it comes to
Yes.
your structure. Yep, let's just. So what's the
Okay.
bottom level? Let's just pick an easy one.
Let's just
Lathe and drill. Got
let's
it.
just do this BC 287.
Okay.
There's only one level underneath it.
Oh, perfect. BC 287.
And then you have two routings.
Okay, two routing. Okay. Now, these routings mean these are two workstations that operation steps that you will be following, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. In NetSuite, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, the operation steps yeah, the routing include multiple operation steps and what work center they're going to be worked on. So that's what a routing is in NetSuite. Got it. Understood. So let's continue. So
Did you want to see the items themselves?
yes, yes.
Okay.
I want to see what item are we so this is one side of it, right? This is telling me what the routing is going to be, right? I also
Correct.
need to know what item is going to be consumed, right? In here.
This BC 287, I don't know if you can see it or not. This is the child,
Okay, this
the
is
one
the
being
child.
consumed.
Okay, so this is a BC 287R,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
All right. And this is going to be modeled as an inventory item.
Correct. It's a purchase item on our
Is
end,
it-
so it'll be inventory.
Okay, this is a purchase item. Understood. Is this an item that, of course, the accountancy for this most likely will be raw material,
Yes,
right?
this is raw material. Yep.
Right. And I see you want to do FIFO as a costing method. Right now I have it FIFO, but is this going to be a serialized item? Is this going to be this inventory item itself? Is it serialized? Is it lot numbered? Or is it just a regular inventory item?
Just a regular inventory item, I believe.
Okay, understood. All right. So yeah, in that case, we can do FIFO for you. I think in our D2B call for everything raw material, we talked about we were going to do standard costing, but FIFO is fine if we're NetSuite would allow you to.
I mean, this is up to the accountants. So
Okay, understood. Okay, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to.
Yep.
Okay. let's continue. Right, so that's going to be modeled as my assembly item. Perfect. You have
No, this is your inventory item, right?
sorry, my bad, my
Yeah.
bad. This is your inventory item. That's perfectly fine. The pieces of information that you need from here, what we need from NetSuite, right, for you, for this purposes is going to be, we would need the name of the item, of course, the description, the accounting C we're going to get. We're going to need the costing item that we need from here, right? I'm talking purely in terms of inventory. And basically the fact that what is the unit type of this? Is it going to be this particular item you're lathing? Is it measured in inches? Perfect, inches. So that's the minimum piece of information that we need for setting this item up for you, right? From an inventory perspective. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. But I do see you have weight as well. So what is the purpose of those dimensions in your scenario?
I do not know what the purpose of it is, maybe except for just record keeping.
Okay.
We know what they weigh.
Yeah, please keep the weights if possible. They come in handy.
Sorry, I did not get that.
Please keep the weights if it's possible. They do come in very handy for packing list and.
Oh, understood.
estimates.
Understood. I was going to ask the question, but you see, the process in my head was, this is a inventory item. When you lathe it and stuff, the weights and stuff will change over time, correct? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means in your scenario, but after manufacturing, the weight can potentially change of raw material. That's why I was asking. At a sub-assembly level, I get it.
The unit weight field there is not linked to anything, that is strictly a reference for
Okay,
anyone to look at to know a shipping weight or approximate weight.
okay,
So that is not sourcing any information from anywhere, it's just a manually entered field.
understood, understood. Okay, so from our perspective, right, and I showed you the templates the other day. What pieces of information do you I can open up the templates again. Would you need on an item record for you to have for you to complete a proper item definition as it is as it is in WPC as of right now? I'll repeat my question. Any dimensions that we need that you need are crucial for your business.
I mean, some, like some plate items, we utilize dimensions to calculate the weights. 'Cause
Sure.
our raw material plate is recorded in pounds in our inventory, but the bombs are structured and built around dimensions.
Okay.
So our current system converts those dimensions over to pounds through the conversion factor, which Nick just highlighted. On this item, since it's purchased each and shipped out each, the
Right.
conversion factor would be 0.
Zero.
But if we're
Absolutely.
taking poundage and turning it into an each, the system utilizes dimensions under the current materials
Got it. Got it. Okay.
to do that.
This is another item we're looking at now. 101.
I was just showing you whether there's conversion factor.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Those are the kind of details that I do want to capture. This is item 101. I'm gonna take okay. What is it? 250. All right. So the conversion factor. So what are we doing over here? The unit of measure for this item is
Oh, did you want to see that one again?
yeah, please. Yes, please. I was
I'm
just
sorry.
wanting to see it.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to definitely talk through that one of what the example was, right? And how we're going to consume it and how that's going to be consumed in a higher level. Those are the conversations I definitely want to have as we build a assembly. So this is built in pounds, right? Sorry, the unit of measure is pounds, and the conversion factor is 0.071. Now, when we're saying conversion, what are we converting this into? Is my question. Is it, let's start from there. What is this being
I
converted?
think it's the weight per square inch. Is that correct, Brian?
Yes. So
Yes, that's correct.
the finished item that this plate would be pulling into would be, say, 10 inches by 12 inches.
Mhm.
The bill of material would pull 10 by 12, and then with the conversion factor would convert to poundage to relieve the inventory of the purchase raw material item.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I understand what you're saying. I do. If you have a visual, that would definitely help because I want to see where this is being called, and this is per square inch, the weight per
Yep.
square foot or square inch. I believe. I believe
I
you
believe
said
it's square inch.
I absolutely.
Am I wrong, Brian?
Square
Okay.
inch on this item.
Square
Okay.
inch on this item. So I want to see an assembly that this is called on, and I want to see the consumption of how we're doing that because I'm very curious of what that would look like. Because eventually the finished goods are going to be converted into items, right? So we just want to see how many.
Wrong.
How is this called?
We got a missing dash in
Okay, I get that.
Let's go here. Okay.
Yeah,
You see that, Amir?
yeah, I can see that. Sure, thank you.
So this item right here
Mm-hmm.
is using this inventory item,
Okay, so
and it has this conversion factor off the item itself.
understood. So the top level item, the 1200, the washer, right? That's
Yes.
basically what we're gonna build. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, perfect. And the washer itself is it in inches? I believe so. Is the washer inches or what's the unit of measure on
It
the
should be, yeah.
No,
Yes, that's each.
each? Perfect. That's what I thought. The washer is inches. Okay. And for us to build a washer using this plate, right?
Mhm.
This makes all the sense to me now. Because the plates are, you're measuring that as it bounds, and then per square inch, I want to see what you're calling the units how much units are you calling for on the
So I need 3 by 3, which gives us 1.27 pound.
Okay, understood. Understood. So basically what we're doing is we're using the dimensions length and width, getting the square area, right?
Yep.
And then what you have is on the other side, what you have is you're saying square how so if the unit if you really think about this, the unit that we're concerned about is uh weight per square inch. That's what we really want to get into. So we have one item in units. The other one item the way it's called is called a per weight per square inch, and that's the calculation that we have to figure out. And that's where the
Correct.
conversion comes in. Okay. Okay. And this is only for conversions. Now the question to you is as follows. Um, on the bomb, right? Is this the system is calculating this for you? Okay, the quantity understood, and it's all the 3L3 and 30.
That's
Okay,
length times width.
this is
What
9 square inches. This is 9 square inches, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I get that. Understood. Yeah. Again, NetSuite does not have a true feature of doing the math for you, but we can look into this for you if the calculation is done. Now, my question is as follows for you, right? The dimensions are set on the washer itself. What I know when I on the details of the washer, if I see that That's a 3x3 washer. Is that correct? Or,
Yes,
okay,
OD is 3-inch diameter.
understood. That's a 3x3 washer, which then dictates on the assembly, on the bomb itself, that how much do you need to consume. All right, makes sense. Makes sense. I understand that. We just have to construct the bombs correctly with this particular thing, and this might be just a phantom. So what's the routing on converting a plate to a washer? And what routing steps are involved?
It looks like in this it just burn.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
it's
all.
just a burn?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. And this one.
Right. Okay. All right. Makes perfect sense. All right. So, well, I'm seeing the item card right now. What's the routing? Sorry. Uh,
The routing for this right here.
yeah, the routing to I see the work center is burn, right? Operation 10. That's it, just the burn.
Yeah, I'll pull it right here.
Okay. I thought you were showing something else. Okay.
No,
Sorry. So it's a one-step routing only.
correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, this makes sense. This makes sense. Oh, perfect. And the work center has its okay. Is the burn work center? I'm looking at your list of burn centers. Sorry, I've wrong center, wrong choice of words. The work centers that you sent us. Yes, you have burn laser center. Okay, makes sense. You call it burn, but it's a burn laser. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So that's step number one, and is there a human cost associated to this? Is there any labor charges associated to this, or only machine charges that you capture?
there's,
Right now, go ahead.
it would be, indirect labor because it's burn. A person's not going to physically clock against us currently how we have it. And then I have the estimated time, you can see it there, the run labor hours, 0.07 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the estimated time that we would use based on cost and the
Right.
sell price on this item.
Perfect. Yeah, makes sense. Point. And there's a machine, and there's a labor of 0.7, no machine hours that you're capturing. I don't see machine hours.
Yeah, those are always, we don't differentiate machine and labor hours.
Got it. Yes, I know that you consider everything as a 0.7 into 7 multiplier, right? For all overhead. Correct.
Correct. Or
Okay.
something, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get that last part.
The 7 times, but
Yeah, 7 times. 7 times. Yeah, sorry. Forgive me, I get into trouble whenever I say that. In my part of the world, we always said into. So yes, that's what I meant. 7 times. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, thank you. And okay, I'm looking at revision. What is that? Is that of significance? What's the revision for the bomb? Revision for
we do not utilize that field.
understood. Just was curious if there was a concept of revisions. Alrighty, makes sense. Now, are there any travelers and engineering diagrams associated to any of this stuff? Any of this build processes? I'm expecting the answer is going to be yes, but
Travelers, you mean job paperwork?
job paperwork, yes.
I know Bonterre does job paperwork and St. Louis does job paperwork. I don't know what all they print out though. They have to speak for that.
Okay. All right. That's perfectly fine. In the future world, we would have travelers for you in the mobile manufacturing app. So therefore, you should be in a better position to get this. You wouldn't have to really print anything out. That the work center people would log in and just see their jobs over there. Quick question on your manufacturing floor itself. You got 60 different. If you don't mind, can I share my screen very quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that we need from you, because this is good, this is a little detail that we need. to clarify, we have 60 work centers right now, right? And we've talked about this before that Bonne Terre and St. Louis both have almost the same work centers, correct?
No, I mean.
No. Okay.
St. Louis would be a lot smaller than Bonne Terre as far as number of work centers.
Okay, that sounds right. So is it actually a subset? Or is it, can we divide these out into Bonne Terre and St. Louis?
Now, the vast majority of or there's quite a few of those work centers there that are no longer utilized.
Okay,
So 10 years ago, we had the work centers split between Bonne Terre and St. Louis, and you can see
Right.
that like on line 25, 26, you got BTSTL as in the work center name. About 10 years ago, we combined those into just a single work center for both locations, which would just be line 24 Lathe.
line 24, this one late.
Lathe,
Okay.
and then we captured, that is, Lathe is the active one. The three right below that are no longer active, no longer used.
David's got a chart, he's putting it together, he can send you.
So,
Yes.
any of the lathes underneath there.
But we're going back to separate,
Yeah, so we have to go back to separate, so lathe
Yes.
would be split back up and just on forward.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be split back up into the Bonne Terre and St. Louis location, right? Is
It may just be called the machine's name. I mean, that doesn't matter to you guys. We're working on that right now. So a new work center will be made.
I apologize, I didn't get that last part.
New work centers are being considered with. New
Yes,
names.
okay, sorry. Yeah, I got that part earlier. Yes, you are working on a new list. That is going to be required as we go through and set up your work centers. And with each one of them, we will have to set up with each with each assembly item at each work center, we need to start setting up their routings as well of how they're going to be built. So not each work center at each build level, we need to define the routings of what routings and work centers that each assembly touch and the labor charges for each. Okay. This is doable. Do you know when you would be done with the work center setup?
Yeah, well, I just started Friday, so.
Okay.
When do you need it by?
No, if there's not truly a rush right now as far as setting up the work centers are concerned. This is going to be a much involved conversation as we keep on going. What I really want right now is for us to have a structure, a assembly item, a build structure in place where we can go through a hierarchy that we were just looking at right now. From a plate, build a washer, then consume that washer one step up, and then at least go a few levels up and build a sub-assembly and show you the process, not only what's involved, right, on setting that up, but then what's involved in basically the GL impacts and how it's consumed and how to complete work orders, etc., and all that stuff. So we would definitely want to focus on that right now. So if I even have a subset of work centers. Yeah,
It's
that's
on my list.
perfect. So
Yeah, for now, we can use this list here, has most of them in there, like Brian was saying. They're most of what you would need for a bomb, going up from the raw material to the assembly item. We'll have one of these work centers that are on this list. We're just trying to get a good cleanup and get a good list going forward, but this one is adequate for now.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So that's going to be step number one that I would like to go through and get set up for you. Basically one assembly and with a couple of sub-assemblies. If we have to create some of them as phantom, sure, we'll set them up as phantom, and I'll show you how we will accomplish that at which levels and etc. This conversion is very important, I think, so how we would accomplish that and how we can make it easier for you, or how you can set up that data that the consumption is correct on all of these conversions. Definitely want to do that. The key thing that I do want to also make sure as an example that we capture is we've talked about this, and I want to I want to make sure that we all get on the same page when we do our first walkthroughs. Is I would like to have a build process where the build starts in one work location, like Bonne Terre or St. Louis. Then it stops and then it moves on to the next location, right? And then comes back. I believe that is a valid scenario in your environment, correct?
You're not saying St. Louis, Bonne Terre back to St. Louis.
Yeah,
That's what
yes,
he just
exactly.
said.
Alright, we got ones that start in Ontario, we got ones that go back and forth.
Yeah.
But
If
back
we
and forth, but not really. I mean, yeah,
Single roll pressures and stuff.
you're right, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll find one that has
Single
Yeah.
multiple locations involved in it.
single-
Absolutely.
We won't
That-
want, it's as much as.
we
I
definitely
think
want to
it'd be
do
more
that.
likely it's gonna start in Bonne Terre, come to St. Louis. St. Louis is gonna send it back to Bonne Terre, and it would go out from there. That's
Yeah, that's
that's
fine.
the more of the flow that would happen,
You get a
Yeah.
perfect example.
Bonne Terre.
which is what
The
single.
single one, right? We got one going on right now.
Right.
They welded
Okay.
it, we're machining it, they'll assemble it.
Yeah, so we will, Nick, it's single roll pressure, just write that down for our notes so we can pull that out. And send it to Amir.
What did you call that? Sorry, single?
It's a single roll crusher, it's the finished good piece
Got it.
of what's
Understood.
gonna happen back and forth and back.
Understood. Back and forth. And we did talk about the fact that you wanted to do inventory transfers, correct? You wanted to do
Yeah.
that immediately in the system. You didn't want to wait. Okay,
Correct, yep, inventory transfers are immediate from one location to another. We don't
Understood.
wanna print paperwork and have to receive it and all that, nope, just immediate transfer.
immediate transfers. Okay, that's something that I do want to talk to you about as well.
We want to print it before we get it on. But we have immediate transfer now, we just have to make a separate packing list. That makes sense?
I mean, do you want,
Right, I mean,
You don't have immediate in the system, you gotta click through it.
what do you mean? I can transfer stuff right now.
I think it's, when we transfer it, it's like we do the paperwork and it's like, it goes, I do a move and boom, it's in Bonne Terre immediately. It's not, we're just gonna have it in limbo, have it in transportation, and then
Yeah.
another guy gets down there and looks at it and then
You have
brings it out of transportation, we just do it immediately.
okay, I think we're all on the same page.
But if I move 10 things, I don't wanna have to create a piece of paperwork outside, and I wanna be able to hit print and say, yes, I moved this, and we can make a packing list for that.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
You know what I'm getting at? Like, if I move 10 things, there's no record of it. I have to make a packing list, put it on a truck, and then hand it to somebody.
Well, so there is a record, and there is a way to print it off, but it doesn't work, you still have to do something.
You know what I'm getting at? It takes longer for me to type out a packing list than it does me to load the truck and transfer it down. So
Yep.
we want that record so that we can say, here, this got moved, and then it's trackable, and when it got moved, because we use that quite frequently. Packing list to say, yes, this got transferred on.
Alright,
24.
Amir, so what, if I'm gonna reissue what he just said, we
Sure.
wanted to move immediately from Bonne Terre, St. Louis to Bonne Terre.
Yes,
In the system, but we need to have paperwork to be sent to Bonne Terre so that they have a record of what's being sent up to them. And that can still be done even if it's transferred immediately.
yes. So there are a couple of things to talk about over here. And but what you just said can be done, right? Can be accomplished with a little bit of customizations that companies do ask for all the time. I'm going to just step through the demand planning part of the project, which is MRP, right? You would like to run your work orders and your planning through an MRP system where it would suggest based on lead times, and lead times can be both purchase lead times and build lead times, and that would allows you to have multiple variations on if you're going to build the lead time per batch or lead time per unit. So that's what allows you all those build details to be put into the system. Having said that, as you are building through the process, I just want to walk through this, right? You're going to start building from Bonterre, and that's a sub-assembly that you will build, right? You know this is going to take you 2 days to build, right? That means 2 days afterwards, this sub-assembly now needs to be moved over to St. Louis. I'm just going to take that one move example right now. So 2 days lead time for to build this work order, and then I know the next leg is to go to St. Louis. What MRP in NetSuite offers us to do is it will generate the transfer order automatically for us, right? What it would do is basically after 2 days, it would say you first 2 days build this work order. In 2 days, you're expected to finish. That means third day or the end of the second day, you now have to generate a transfer order between Bonterre and St. Louis, from Bonterre to St. Louis. What that allows you to do now is that you can simply have your paperwork in place, right? NetSuite will generate that for you ahead of time because it's expected for you to have it. Now it's for you to now, whoever the shipping person is going to be responsible for actually executing that transfer order. Once you have the paperwork, you will have a manifest per se of what needs to be shipped that evening or whatever your shipping schedule is between Bonterre and St. Louis. So we don't want to add additional paperwork on you, but at least you'll have all tracking done in the system, right? And then again, this is the paperwork, but we can easily automate the whole item receipt and item fulfillment portion of that transaction that you do not have additional work to do. Does that make sense at a high level?
I think it makes great sense.
Okay, I do want to have another question over here. So we did talk about Bonterre shipping things out to St. Louis. In St. Louis, who's receiving it and how does that receiving process look like in the case of this scenario, right? Where we are shipping from one location to the other. Because what I want to, I want to ensure that we do not, first of all, ensure that we don't cause confusion. And this is from my perspective because I do not fully know, I haven't seen your facilities, so don't know how they work. But there is travel time between Bonterre and St. Louis, correct?
Yes.
How long is that travel time again? I know I have it in my notes, but if you remind me again.
It would
4 hours?
depend on it.
Excuse me?
It depends on who's doing it, but I mean, it could be the next day,
Okay,
or it could be, if, like today, we ship something to Montero. He's gonna be down there in about 2 hours.
okay, 2 hours. Okay, got it. Now, is there a shipping, are people expecting it to be there at a particular time? Is there a shipping schedule, a receiving schedule you follow?
There's receiving hours.
Okay, receiving hours, okay.
As far as the schedule, that's the paperwork that we create manually to forward down saying, hey, this is coming tomorrow.
Got it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I just wanted to make sure, what do you mean by receiving hours?
Well, that we have a shipping guy here in St. Louis from 7 to 3:30, and we have the same hour, we have similar hours at Bonterre. But we don't have a schedule, it's not.
Okay, so between 3 to 7, you ship and receive.
Yes.
Perfect. That's what yeah, understood. And that, again, that's basically, that's what I actually meant by a schedule that, it is structured. You don't receive it at any given time unless it comes into the system somehow. But companies do have, we're going to ship by this time. They have deadlines to meet, manifest to generate, et cetera, and then receive it at the same time on the other end. Okay. All right. So in that case, it might not be the biggest problem, but if you is this formally received? Are these transferred formally received at the receiving location, in this case, St. Louis?
Not for sure. I mean, if we're transferring between the two, I mean, what do you mean by formally received?
Like,
When
yeah,
we transfer, when we
yeah.
transfer to the system, that's pretty much formally received, right? Don, don't you
That's
think?
what I would think, I'm not really.
Yes.
No. No, what I meant by formal, let me just explain what I mean by that. Is you said in St. Louis somebody needed paperwork, right?
Yes.
So that's what triggered this question. Is somebody waiting for a truck to come in, looking at the paperwork they have, making sure whatever was called on that paperwork?
Yes, paperwork will be handed to the shipping guy, and, you will place it in the storeroom or in the location. I mean, yes, paperwork is exchanged. If an outside vendor's doing it, he pulls up to the dock, he said, here, I have these 4 items.
Right.
So it's formally received, yes.
Okay, so yes, so you do want to now to model that in your system that somebody walks in, you say, okay, let me receive this, create an item receipt, and say whatever we were expecting, we got.
Yeah, I said it again, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, so
You're
on the
just-
receiving end, I'm making sure that do we need to record it in the system, right? Because now I have the paperwork, I know this is what it's
That's already, I think that's already done when you transfer, when you do the immediate transfer.
right.
So we're not looking for another step. We're not looking for another step in the system. I
Got
don't
it.
think.
You just want a visual, somebody to say, okay, this was received. That's what I wanted to just understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Because that's why the paperwork is required. I just wanted to understand why
Right.
the paperwork is required. You don't want additional steps, but somebody comes in and says, this is what I wanted. Is this what I got? Yes, I did. Okay, good enough. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. So
Yes.
I think what we would do is we can automate this for you, that basically it would automate transfer immediately. And whatever the transactions we use behind the scenes for you will be the transactions that are going to become your paperwork as well. So as soon as NetSuite in Bonterre, we say execute this transfer order, we do all the steps for you. On the other side, you say, okay, I received it. It's there, and that becomes your paperwork as well. Okay.
Yeah, if you can just print out, well, we say I transferred 4 items, if I can just hit something that says print,
Yeah.
even if it's digital, say these 4 items were transferred, then I can send out an email, hey, these are coming down on my truck tomorrow.
Yep.
Process it.
That makes absolute sense. Understood. It wouldn't be a big customization if the system can also send an email out to the appropriate people. The system can do that as well if you would need, if that's a process that is defined.
Click print.
Yeah, that's whatever.
You shouldn't have to send anything. It should automatically print out to the shipping receiver
Yep.
here in St. Louis. That stuff's coming.
Yes.
That's simple.
What we don't have is
I don't know if you got that, Amir, but basically what they're saying is upon the transfer being put in, the
Mhm.
receiving location should get the paperwork printed out to them that says, hey, you should be expecting this to show up.
Right.
And this is just transfers internally, though, we're talking about.
Yep. This is just transfers that we're talking about. Just transfers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Now,
that's exactly what we would like. We would like, first of all, the transfer to be immediate, and then the paperwork prints out to the receiving location.
right.
That they should expect this in the next 2 to 24 hours.
2 to 24 hours.
Emailed.
Excuse me?
Typically, we'll say, hey, this is becoming, I know that it can be automatic.
Yeah.
We need,
There's not back email too, right? Yeah.
what we're saying is, we won't know how it's. We can handle it. If something can be printed, we're good. We'll figure out.
Well, if something can be printed, it could also be made into a PDF and we can
Correct.
send it because he'll want to know what left and,
Yeah.
you know.
We'll get-
Yeah.
So if there is a way to generate an email from it or a PDF file, the email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very simply. We can definitely get very good. Because the good thing about NetSuite is that we can track all why this is even being transferred. Because in both sides, St. Louis and Bonterre is the same system. So I know what top level assembly I'm building and what all these orders are related to, right? So I know if I'm sending something from Bonterre to St. Louis, this is a work order that's calling for it because it was a demand-based transfer order. So I can even be very specific if we need to. I'm not going to recommend that day one, but we can be very specific of sending that this is the work order we're building. That's why this inventory is coming, and it can go to a specific work center, operation manager as well. there could be a lot of good things that we can do. And but at this again, we're in the beginning, don't recommend that, but in the future, we definitely can look into those kind of optimizations for you.
Perfect.
Okay. Having said that, now we're talking about paperwork printouts. I just want to make sure that we all know we do have WMS in your system, right? And the receiving, the shipping, transfer orders will be done using a handheld device, right? Or or it may not, even if it's not handheld, it'll be done all online. So you should with scanning and yeah, scanning and barcoding that you can do. So I think as we go forward and demonstrate that, we want to see and the opportunities of reducing paper if that's a possibility. Of course, whatever is on the screen that we will still allow you to print it. You will still have paperwork if that's something that is how your process works efficiently. But we would like to at least show you the opportunities where you might not need a printout. It's just there in the dashboard, the receiving dashboard, or the work center location. They have their work center instructions right there rather than a printout. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm just making sure we can get rid of the paperwork. That's good. That all sounds great.
Okay, understood. I understood. Perfect. No, some companies are hesitant, but I'm glad to hear that from your side that if that's the case, that would be great. And of course, you have both WMS, you have mobile manufacturing, and though both are two different applications that we use to basically they're the mobile applications per se for manufacturing or using the warehouse. Very close to when it comes to manufacturing. Having said that, I'm going to show you just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Once we start demoing the WMS application, there are a few different ways NetSuite does things. When you're picking, you're gonna pick per if you're doing item fulfillments for sales orders. There's a different place where you go and do that as opposed to when you're going to pick for work order builds. So slightly different ways of NetSuite, how NetSuite manages that, and I'll show you those screens as well as we define your system and have everything in place. All right. Quick question. Your warehouse. I just want to talk quickly about your warehouse. NetSuite, when we do whip and routing, and that's what we're doing in your system, requires us to use bins, right? When we do whip and routing. And for whip and routing purposes, do you have defined bins in the system right now? I know the answer, but
Yeah, so we have in both locations, we have two sheets, St. Louis and Monterey, that have the bin locations currently.
okay,
Once we finish with the work center
right.
list,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna add those in because those are also gonna have to be bin locations under our scenario, so we can move from the laser machine to the welding to the assembly
Yeah.
to the door east and on.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing holding us up from uploading the bin locations in the system
Okay.
is we need to finalize the work center locations
Bins.
so that they can be part of the bins as well.
Right.
Again, I
Right.
suspect that won't be very long. He said he's already worked on it on Friday, so once
Got it.
we add that in, we'll work with Lori and get that uploaded into the system.
That'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions over here. So you are in the process of entering work center bins. That's a good start. Is there a formal process in your environment to move from one work center to the other? Or a defined process? When I say formal, I mean defined. I mean, is there actually some paperwork being exchanged, or if I'm done doing in the previous example, we did a plate to a washer, right? Now there's an in bin, there's an out bin at every work center, but
I
now
can stop you. There's not.
There's
I
not,
think I can
okay.
answer this question, there's not.
There's
Yeah,
not,
at this point, we are not even using bin locations. This is
Okay.
an upgrade
okay,
that we're putting in this system.
Is-
Our
Got
current ERP system, we have no guns that transfer, we got no
Absolutely.
paperwork that
Okay, yeah,
transfers,
yeah,
we got.
one thing
No
I would
movements.
recommend to you folks right now, that let's start off with a simple model, where we do not have too many, not every work center bin is different from the other. And we'll, of course, we want to have bins in Bonne Terre, we want to have bins in different work center bins in Bonne Terre and St. Louis. But I want to show you what the limitations might be, because you don't want to be, after every work center step, every build is done, then do another inventory transfer step or a bin transfer step.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to make it just smooth, right? Okay, it's done. Now I've got to go to the next place. Physically, it might be different. But there are ways of saying that what process, where to find a particular build or a inventory item, and we can figure that out for you. How large is your warehouse? Sorry, your work floor. Sorry.
Say it again,
How
How-
modern?
Yeah, how large is it? Like, is it
large.
large? Okay.
You want
Like-
what square foot?
I know that you manufacture huge equipment, so I'm thinking it might be even some different locations, but yeah, square foot, how large is it?
I'd have to, I don't have a number
I
on top of my
don't,
head.
Bonne Terre is roughly probably the main area is about the size of a football field.
Got it. I thought it would be acres. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
Might be-
I can,
200 square feet, 200,000.
I can come up with numbers.
The
Okay,
building,
that's fine.
the main
That's
building
fine.
is 100,000. But that's not the warehouse space. Is that what he's
Right.
asking?
So
Warehouse?
it could be easily
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you
Say
think
the
that's
shop,
fine.
shop I came from was 250, you guys are split under that, from what I want.
so yeah, so 200 square feet is probably on the right side of how big are the
When
main
you-
location
When you
is.
include manufacturing, storage bins and stuff like that.
But 200,000, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, 200,000. Okay. And how big is the shop itself? The work
100,000.
About half that.
half that. Okay, that's huge. That's a huge number. So maybe you know, there might be we'll see what's the best fit for you, but keep in mind, not every work center needs to have a different bin. We can just have one work center bin or manufacturing bin location in both, one for Bonne Terre, one for St. Louis, and you will know that if I have to go pick, you can pick over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we're on the same page with what
Yeah.
you're saying. Then
Yeah.
that's. Yeah, well, that's what I said. Once we have those, we'll put them in there, we'll upload them, and then we can go through an example.
Yes.
That's a realistic example of how, the material would move through our main
Yes.
location.
Yeah,
And we can talk how we want the transfers to happen, whether, you wanna
absolutely.
move it
Absolutely.
every single time the material moves, or if you wanna have a halfway point where you say,
Yes.
I've moved it from the laser to the welder to
Yeah.
the assembly, and then the
Yeah.
assembly,
Here's the
now we're
point.
moving it.
When I'm done with, say I'm welding the machine and I'm done welding, if I selected I'm done with that operation, wouldn't automatically in the system move to the next logical location? Or do you have to physically say, I'm done welding, if the operator clocks in, and I don't know what triggers it, that's the question.
Yeah. I'll
We're
throw
done
you off.
welding, so we know
Yeah.
the next step.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it automatically move to that step? Regardless of the physical location in the building, that is not important to
That's-
where it's physically located. Okay, yes, I'm a president, but
Yeah.
wouldn't it physically go to that location inside the system?
Yeah, sure. With some customizations, we can definitely do that.
I
for you.
don't know that we want the word customization. No,
Yeah, with a little bit of tweak, and that's basically what I want to avoid. I want to keep it as simple as possible because we're using
Okay,
these
so
guns.
I guess what you're saying is if I'm done welding, I'm the welder, I'm done welding, I
Yeah.
move it physically to the location.
Yeah.
Where it's going to next. I put it there. I would
Yeah,
put it
you,
there.
you have to put it there. That's the thing. You put it in your out bins and there from there it goes to the next one. So
Okay,
it's
makes sense.
defaults and just take it from
One
there.
part I'm not very clear on.
Sure.
Okay, work centers. The lathe, let's just call a lathe, that's a work center.
Mhm.
Is it also a bin, or are we gonna call the area around it the bin for lathe?
Can you say that again?
A work center, is it a bin or is it a work center?
Work center is a work center.
I think a lathe would be both. It would be a work center,
And then the bin is lathe.
Yeah.
and then the bin would be called lathe, and so when you
Yeah.
transfer material from the previous step, it would go to the lathe location.
Yeah.
It would be in that area.
Yeah.
It's a floor space area.
But
Yep.
the actual time is work center and work and all of that.
Yeah.
tracking, It's just a bin there. We'll find it
Absolutely.
over there, staging. Okay.
Yeah, it's a stage.
Cool.
Absolutely, absolutely, yep, it's just an area, it doesn't matter. In NetSuite, of course, these are logical components and there's transactions going against each one of them, so we define them as different objects, but physically, yes, you're absolutely right, it could be just a square, just an open space that you have and you call this is the lathe, you know.
Now, does routing only consider work centers? It doesn't consider a bin area, right?
No, the bin has to be set up separately, it's not, it cannot be assumed to be the same.
Say that again.
The routing's gonna say it's gonna be run on the work center lathe.
Right.
It doesn't tell you to put it at the work center bin lathe. That's just common sense.
Mhm.
It won't give you
Issues. That's correct.
Okay.
No, that was very helpful. We have a 2 hour session. Is everybody good to stay through the 2 hours without taking a break? I'm good, but it's one we need to know.
We got 95 subjects we have to leave.
Yeah, we may have something at 1:30. Don't.
Yeah, so I say we just keep rolling through and not take a break unless somebody absolutely needs one.
That's perfectly fine with me. Just wanted to bring it up, but thank you. Can we go back to sharing your screen? And I want to go back to the washer. And if possible, if we can see where that is being used and, just talk through a few things from that perspective. Thank you. Yeah, we did the burn. Now, can one work center have different operations? Just making sure that I'm asking the question correctly.
What do you mean by that?
Let me give you an example. There was you can either burn, you can cut, right? In different work centers, suppose you were I don't know the best example to give you in your industry right now. But if you were doing a sewing work center, right? So there are different kind of sewings that you could do, depending, but it's the same work center, the same machines. You just have different materials come in and it's a different operation, even though their machines do not change drastically. So therefore, that's what I was trying to understand. That is your work center the same? Is there a one-to-one relationship with the operation that it performs? Like it only does lathe, right?
You could have multiple different machines for a work site right now.
Okay, so different operations. That's kind of what I was trying to ask. Okay, and at one work center, do you have any capacity issues? If you have multiple machines, do you try to ever manage that in your system?
I don't think we say if we're gonna use this machine or this work center, it's twice as fast or twice as slow, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about capacity.
There's no scheduling basis.
There's no schedule. Got it. Because okay, understood.
Oh, we do that, or we have to pick a slow one every once in a while.
Yeah, and you're again, this is a moot point. Don't worry about it because you're not capturing machine hours, so it doesn't kind of even make sense for us. It's just the labor hours, and we're kind of calculate from there.
We will be.
Yeah.
We will be now. Right?
Sorry?
Yeah. We will be capturing machine hours now.
Okay. Yeah, the NetSuite will be able to do that. I wasn't sure if you were gonna do that. If that's the case, not a problem. Easily done. Then I made.
Being my work.
We have to have planned hours,
Mhm.
and then capture the actual hours in order to
Cost properly.
to give our true cost.
Yes.
So that, I mean, that's a driver here for sure.
Yeah.
So the way we would set this up is easy. I wouldn't say easy, but it is as follows. We would have a cost for labor, right? An hourly cost for labor that we capture, right? And then we will have an hourly cost for your machine time, right? With that, we can also have NetSuite also provides us with setup times, right? So setup time is more of a standard is a fixed cost that as soon as you use that machine for one operation, NetSuite says, okay, the setup time was $5 because you needed 5 minutes to do that. The rate per hour was 60, so I'm gonna charge you $5 for 5 minutes. That's how NetSuite would do that calculation for you. The run rate will run simply at the fact that you had now for the run time for both machine and both standard both labor is basically what is entered keyed in by the resource who's working that operation in that routing. Right now, you can always give it some planning that you're going to cost. That's what we need to do for to understanding what it's going to take for lead times and stuff and manufacturing times. But if you enter 0.7 as you see, I see in this example, right? NetSuite would do the math for you, would do the multiplication based on the labor that we have assigned on this work center, like the burn technician and the burn machine, the laser machine, and that calculation is just going to be done for you.
Yeah, I mean-
Sense if I can show
I
you
don't know where
very
you're getting the
quickly.
data from, you know?
Sorry?
You said a lot of things that we're not tracking, so, I mean,
Uh,
we don't track setup time. You said setup time.
No, I gave you everything. Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
What I'm
we can
saying
do
is-
setup time if you like.
All those times, so.
Yeah, I would say we're probably not going to start with any setup time. I think the best that
Right.
we're gonna be able to come up with is how many labor hours and how many overhead hours it takes at each level, at each
Mhm.
10, 20, 30, 40 level,
Mhm.
and what our dollar rate would be on average.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, then what you're saying is it would take the number of hours times the rate and give us what that cost is.
But what cost was, yes. And
Yeah,
it's
so that's
added to your
that's as simple as we can do it because that's the only data we currently have.
got it.
We
Okay.
don't have a lot of setup time or even our hours and our machine hours, we don't have a lot of that. We're gonna have to put those in and then adjust them on the fly.
Okay. That's fine. Do you have some sort of costing when it comes to machine hours? What a machine run would cost you?
No, see, that's, I think currently that's the 7 to
That's the
1
step. That's what I'm
ratio.
saying. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what we currently have.
Right.
What we want to get to with NetSuite is we want to say takes 2 labor hours, it takes 2 overhead hours. Each one of those have a rate, and then it multiplies the 2 times the rate, and it says it's X number of labor dollars, X number of overhead dollars,
Right.
and X number of material dollars, and those 3 added together becomes what it costs us to make that product.
Absolutely. And goes to the whip, eventually can then turn into your cogs. Perfect. Okay, couple of leading questions if you don't mind. So do you have different labor costs for each work center?
Not currently, but it's
Okay.
something that we do want to look into because like our paint line is probably a lower costing labor hour than say someone that's doing our welding.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're more skilled operators.
Right.
But currently we just have an average rate for each
Right.
location, and that's what we multiply our labor
Understood.
hours against.
Understood. Yeah, again, it depends. NetTool will give you the ability to
Yeah.
set it up as coarsely, as coarsely or as fine as you want. And then, it's up to us how we define those hours. We can set up the system saying that, every work center labor is different, but when we set that item up, that will be the same charges if you would like. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, we've done it is like have a high tier, an average tier, or a lower tier of labor charges, and we assign that to a particular work center. Just gives us a little better information, right? And little less of management of
You're probably wondering, there's some people like that sounds good.
right. Again, these are setup things. When we go through it, the process will be as we test, as we develop, we'll start having these sessions, and we'll make sure that we run through the build process together. And every time make sure that the GL impacts are what we expected. And if they need to be fine-tuned, we will be fine-tuning them together and seeing what you really want from your system. And once you learn how to do that, you can do the same fine-tuning and run through the examples yourself and say, this is what's realistic and where we want to get to. Similarly, the leading question was for machines. Are machines cost the same? I would think that's going to be a different answer, right? Machine times would be different. Like a laser would cost you different than a lathe machine,
Absolutely.
That's correct.
right? So machine charges we have to. That I would recommend to just keep separate, and I think that's something that you will be setting up and getting to finer changes as you go along. Okay. And
Yeah, because that's not something we currently do. It's something we want to do.
Yeah.
Going
Okay.
forward.
Understood. And again, from past experiences, your laser does not. So once you move, let me talk to you about your laser center. Do you have to set up a certain type of work orders together to, like, suppose you're cutting sheets, right? And that's a different type of a laser cut that you do, and you put in your job and you put in your designs, and that's some setup you have to do. But then you want to change your laser from doing that to maybe boring holes into stuff. I'm just coming up with examples. When you
The only
change
thing we
from
do,
one type, sorry.
the only thing we do different on the laser is thickness of plate.
Okay,
Okay, so we will grab a 1/2 inch sheet of plate and we will nest and burn as much 1/2 inch plate
Right.
as we can, and that could cover multiple work orders.
right.
But it's always doing the same thing. So the only thing we differ there is thickness of plate.
Thickness of plate, thank you. Okay, thickness of plate. Now, let's say we have, what kind of thickness of plates do we have? Can you give me just an example?
Quarter, 1/2 inch, 3/8, 3/4, 1 inch.
Perfect, thank you. Now,
And then-
suppose we had a bunch of orders for 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1 inch, right? When you switch between these set of work orders, right? Is there any setup time required between the two? Or is
Yes, yeah, well, I mean, the operator's physically removing individual pieces from the table.
Right,
And once those are all gone, he has to remove the remnants of that plate. And he'll have to
absolutely.
load a new plate, yeah, so there is setup time. Then there's also loading the geometry, so there's
Right,
a lot of
exactly.
setup. Yes,
Absolutely. And that's what I was thinking. Will have some setup times that should be fixed costs, because that is fixed cost, right? That is not really going to be another routing operation or anything. It's just the time that's going to be you require before it works. So again, we will see how we capture that and maybe spread it out over your set of work orders, right? But I did just want
Yeah, Amir, that's what I was emailing you about with the nesting. So we have a nesting software
yes.
that if we put a plate on the laser and say, here's 10 work orders, we needed all these pieces, it goes and figures all that out. We need to link that to NetSuite.
Can you repeat that, please? Sorry.
So the laser.
The last part.
So we have to link the program there to NetSuite.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay, yeah,
NetSuite's gonna have these 10 work orders coming through.
yeah,
It's gonna go to the laser cutter and it's gonna
Yes.
cut all this extra stuff and then be able to say, The nesting system has to
Right.
go back to NetSuite and say, these are actually cut, they're done.
Yeah, you mentioned, we talked about that, yes, sorry,
Yeah.
that last piece, I was trying to understand what that was. Yes, yeah, that's gonna be an integration. Do we have the team identified who on the other side nesting, on the nesting software was gonna be doing that? Do you have them engaged?
It's called SimTrans. It should all be in the email I sent you.
Got it. Thank you. I'll reach out to them. Okay, makes sense. Alrighty, so can we continue with this work order? If you, let's just go one level up. Are your operations all sequential? They have to be done sequentially, or can they run in parallel?
Run them parallel sometimes.
Okay, so
So Mary, you want to see next level up from this?
yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Well,
You're gonna have to pick a different item code.
oh,
That doesn't have a parent.
never mind then. You got a good one?
And you could jump back to the one we were looking at earlier, BC 740-UH. BC 740, do the finish.
Oh,
Then there'd be 2 levels below that.
Oh, good.
was it UH?
No, DC 740. Just do that. There's, yeah,
Yeah.
740. There you go. There's going to be three levels to this. You got your home, then you got a finished one, and then you got your dash R underneath that.
Okay. So, okay, we did the trying to recognize the item. This is a different item. We're
Yeah, it's a different name.
picked up. Okay. Right. And the first level that we're making is a 1BC 740.
Yeah. So the 740 is a sellable item.
Right.
The 740-UH is an in-between
Right.
code that is non-sellable. It's just a placeholder.
Got it.
And then the dash R is the purchase code that we're about to buy.
Got it. Okay. Just wanted to look at the data that you have, finish hours, hours that you have, run 5 hours. And you're gonna first lathe it, and then you're gonna mill it. So that's gonna be this. Those are the 2 steps that you have. Got it. And yeah, set up the charges for that. And you're gonna consume in this process BC74R converts it into BC740UH. Okay. And is this a example of a phantom? Would you capture this as a phantom, or would you store that?
No, the UH is not phantom because it's got work centers that we want to capture.
Okay, you want to
work
have
on.
that captured. Okay, understood. Let's continue.
So there's the hone operation that's taking that UH that was just completed.
Right.
We're estimating 0.5 labor hours to complete the hone.
Okay, and then you hone it.
And
Understood.
then we have the finished item code that could either be sold at that level, or it could be pulled into another assembly higher up.
Right. Can I ask a very dumb question over here? Like, why? What was the decision? What's the decision factor in saying, rather than saying creating the UH with 3 operations, we created it as a sub-assembly. Is the fact that UH is used in multiple different other builds, that's why we made a common object, and then depending on the need, we hone it, in another case, we do something else?
It's a machine operation or a machining level stuff, so the first two operations, the lathe and the VMD, will be done at a certain time frame, and then it could be sitting on the shelf for an extended period of time before the finished. We're batch running these, so we just kind of have an in-between step to kind of inventory.
Got it. Okay, how many, let me ask you this question. When it comes to build to stock and build to order, what's your divide? In number of assemblies that you do? How many, like 80% is built to stock, 70% is built to stock?
Probably,
Houses?
no, you mean for all items?
Yeah, for all items, yeah.
80/20?
Yeah, probably 80/20. 80 built to order, 20% for stock.
Okay. This one
Just pulling numbers out of the air.
Yeah, that's fine. We just, it's basically comes down to how we're gonna set it up in the system. Again, with MRP, you know, we are gonna have, with the stock level items, we will have some safety stock levels defined for the ones that are built to order. You don't really have to do that. Your plan should be driving all of that properly for you.
We do have order point safety stocks on
Yeah.
items all inside or in our current system.
Right. Those will be your purchase orders, right? So you can, sorry, your inventory items, which you have to purchase anyways. But sometimes you want to model them that you don't keep them in stock. Sometimes you just buy them per order as well. Okay. So this item does go onto stock. Now, how many times does this? No, forget that. I'm not going. You're fine. You're fine. Let's continue with this. So we hone it, and it becomes another level. Then the last, what's the finished good when it comes to sellable? The 5. The next level up is .5. Am I reading that right? Bearing.
No, the dot, it's a comma.
Oh, that was
So
the one. Okay.
It's a description after.
Yeah. So okay, that's the description. So that was a top level. Okay.
Mhm.
That makes perfect sense. You know, these are actually pretty decent examples. We don't need to get more. If this is the level of bombs that we can get, 4 or 5 items like that, I would like to just use those and actually start setting it up, and we can work through the whole process together. And it's what we will be well defined. Of course, I want to do the whole transfer order as well with you, but if you can focus on that, that'll be great for us. Yeah. Okay. Now, can you show me the mill step? I just want to see what's in the mill step. 20. There's no multi. I'm just trying to see if there were any
Oh,
bombs.
that's right here? Okay.
Yeah, the mill. I'm just wondering if you had any steps. Yeah, the UH
Yeah.
come through. Yeah, we do have multi-routing steps, right? So so the components are the same. That your operation is consuming the same component, okay, which is the R in this case, BC75. Do you have any builds, any components where, I'm sure you do. I want to see one of those examples where you have multiple
Items and different
yeah,
work
items
centers.
are different and they go through multiple steps, and there, you know, some kind of welding and stuff that you might have to do. If you can have something like that, that would be great to see.
Okay.
And then
Brian, do you know anything?
With multiple, if you just look at the main assembly that I sent you,
Okay.
that's got multiple routing.
Yeah.
It's got multiple operations and multiple materials. It's a top level item code. We do also have several bombs that pull in different material on different operations. So like operation 10 lathe, on some bombs you would have operation 20, the VMD, and then different material is pulled in on that second operation.
Okay. So there's a different issue at the operation, at the second operation. So first operation consumes something and the second operation has another issue?
Yes,
Okay, makes sense.
and we can send you examples of that. I
Yeah.
can't think of, I don't know one right off the top of my head that's an easy one to look at.
No worries. So, and I'm assuming that this is, you want them to be driven, the issue to be driven by the bombs and the routings, correct? You don't want, because NetSuite will allow you to issue at any time, right? But you want it to be driven, then you want to have the first operation have this issue to it. Second operation, you should have some other components issued to it, correct?
And that's currently how we have it. I don't know if it's necessary or not.
Okay. Either way, it really, what all it means is when do you go and pick the item and consume it, right? And that means it's taken out of the inventory for everybody else to use. So it just might be just picked for build purposes, but it's not otherwise. Okay, so this, what are we looking at right now? Sorry. So these are all the items that go through in the frame, the frame and
Right.
okay. And these are all inventory items at the bottom?
It
Not
would
yet.
eventually, yeah, it would eventually get down to inventory. I don't.
Oh, wow. Oh, so this is a
Yeah.
huge, this is a huge assembly. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, eventually we'll get there for sure. You know, I don't mind if you can send this to me. If can this be all exported into an Excel format? Then you can share that,
This whole assembly,
this whole assembly with that structure,
Yeah.
maybe.
I can get it out. It'll take a little while, but I can get it all out.
Okay, okay, I would like to see that. I know I would like to start getting accustomed to your data and make sure that we get it and that if there are any gotchas, I start finding it. But for you folks, I would like to start off with something smaller and just go through the GL impacts and make sure how the process is going to work. Then you get much more comfortable on that front than the otherwise. All right. Okay. I think I'm good over here. If I may just take a quick detour to your picking processes. When you do the issues to the items, what does that process look like when you're starting your day and you're doing your work order builds? What does the planning look like right now, and how do you say, okay, I'm going to go out pick this, going to go out pick this for these work orders? Where is that information coming from, and how is that information being handed to someone on the floor? Say, okay, I'm going to build these 4 work orders. These are the 7 different items that I need. Please go get them for us. How does that work?
Job packet has the list of all the bond materials and the routes on it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
given that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for pick list, we just give them a pick list, and it's usually broke down, shows all the parts for the sub assemblies too.
Okay. Now, if I don't mind, can I go back to the same example that we were talking about, the machines, right? The laser cutter, right? We said assuming we have 3 sets of work orders, right? One for half inch, one for quarter inch, one for 1 inch, right? We have different work orders. We say we want to bunch them together, and somebody's going to take that decision, right? That I want these 7 work orders to go through the system first, and that, again, the nesting software will kick in as well. But in order for those items to physically be picked, the 1/2 inch, let's start with the 1/2 inch, to be picked and brought over to the machine, what does that look like, and what's required from the system to actually execute that? Or is that
I would say at this point, we're not capturing anything. Our guy would basically get on his forklift, go over to where the steel is. He'd pick
Right.
the piece out, take it over the machine and put it on there. I mean,
Okay.
that's
That's
what would
it.
happen, but there would not be anything in the ERP system that would show that has happened, in my opinion.
Okay, okay, and that's fair. That is fair. Uh. So in my mind, it sounds more of a like a backflush operation, right? You're just gonna do it. Okay. Again, we'll model this when we get there. Okay. And there, I'm just trying to think this through. Is there, how does the forklift guy need know how many are they picking? Or is this one pallet at a time or whatever the measures are? Is that how they just go pick up the sheets and put it on the laser? And then from there, whatever the laser needs, they cut and then the rest is just put back? Is that how the process works?
Yes,
Understood.
currently, yes.
Yeah, and that's fair. And that's fair. That is efficient in many ways. I've in my one of my other things, engagements, we did exactly the same thing. There was no count. We just knew that the first batch is going to be these work orders, and then the operations manager, actually the laser manager, was one who was keying in all the data and making things run. So there was nothing really automated at that point in time. Okay.
Right now, we are driven by the ship date that is given by the salesman to the customer. And then the release of the drawings from engineering to us in production in Bonne Terre. That's what drives when the parts are being cut.
Understood. That makes sense. All right. So that's for work order picking. Do you have any other sort of picking that you would do for work orders? We take a very big example of maybe sheets that may not have been the best example. For other stuff, would there be, is there a work order picking process where you go to the warehouse and pick the items per work order, or at least a wave of work orders?
Any of our customer orders are, we call them repair orders. There are pick lists issued for those, and items are picked to fill.
Okay. Do you follow a constant of wave or any grouping of these work orders, or is just one order at a time?
It's one order at a time.
Okay. NetSuite does provide something called wave picking, where it will create a wave for you and say, if you want to do efficient picking, these are the 5 different sales orders or work orders you can go pick together, and it will be more efficient for you to ship. Again, it's not science. It's basically just a rough. It's more of a heuristic than anything else, and that's what it comes up with. It works most of the time, but sometimes it's not on the money. So, but it is there for you to, if that's something that you would need to use.
How do you initiate that? You have, I mean, does that make sense? Like, I'm doing one part, do I say, what other order, do I select what other orders do I have for that one part? Does that make sense? I understand what you're saying. You're like, if I'm picking up this part, can I say the other shop work, what you're saying, if I'm working on this part A, can I click something on part A and it says, what other work orders need part A? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, that's another sort of a picking.
That's a
Yeah.
generic way of saying it.
Yeah, that's the generic way of picking. That's more known as, in the picking world, known as a consolidated pick, which does require, and it's a consolidated pick is really efficient, as long as you have a sorting and piece component to it, because you can go pick all the items, counts that you need for that particular order, but you have to come and bring it back to a sorting desk and then sort it out. For e-commerce, it works wonderful if you do have a sorting facility, and if you have that kind of movement in the warehouse. Otherwise, waves do work pretty well as well. But you don't want to, and the waves are basically based on your zoning, right, of your warehouse. So you zone it ABC, and then NetSuite says, okay, if you're going to be doing, if you do these 6 orders, right, go pick the right areas and go pick them up.
I don't see us doing that. That's pretty detailed.
Yes, I would call it like phase 3, meaning
Yeah.
years down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a neat topic.
Yeah, but I don't think that's something we're gonna need and, or we do currently, only because our work order, we don't have, thousands and thousands of I mean, our orders are very large and very detailed from start to finish. But to build one machine can take months at a time. We're not kicking out 10 items in 2 hours.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
would work in SROs. This would be an SRO benefit, I think.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm doing these 4 things and, enough said.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, I did manufacturing for a what do you call those? Um, pre-built homes. They basically do have the concept of a work center, but the work center comes to the location, right? So all inventory and the group of people keep on coming to the physical location. That's how it's modeled. So yeah, something similar. You know, it's there for months, and we just keep on bringing in whatever is required and can keep on consuming stuff as you go from there. In your items, I just want to have this question. As we talked about this, you do have bulk items, which is inventory items that you don't keep track of, correct? Like screws, raw materials, that you do not need to keep track of. They just consume them in bulk.
No, but we would like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we do inventory our our bolts and nuts and washers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like welding wire and paint,
Lumber.
Yes, we talked about that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. We just want to just consume those. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see if that was makes sense.
We just talked about bolts, what last week.
Yeah.
No, again, in your industry, both will be different. Sorry. Yeah.
What would be the limit on bolts where you would say, we don't need it, I thought it was less than this, more than that, since then. That's what we're talking about.
Whether it's material or material, at some point in time, it's not material anymore.
Yeah. It was tough. Not counting as inventory items.
I'll be right back. My daughter's right over here. I'll just have to get into the house. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Like it is, what percent?
Yes, Robert? Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, no. No, not right now. I'm in a meeting run. Okay, I'll talk to you later. What time are you here? I don't know. What time are you here? Okay. I'll be there. Bye-bye. Sorry about that. I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So let's continue. Just time. And there's aliases. Do you have in your inventory items, right? When we talk about your manufacturing, do you have the concept of like the item could be named multiple, the same item, you have the same item, which is alternative, it could be replaceable. You know, you can use one item for the other. They're similar items, but at the same time, they're aliases per se for each other. Do you have that, or each item it has a very specific purpose and they cannot be interchanged?
we have interchangeable items. Some of them are, it's set up in our current system where you'll have item A and then it will direct you to the other items as alternatives if that item is not available at that time, if it's out of stock. But we currently do utilize that. Now, the
Okay.
bond does not automatically do it, it's just a reference point to direct you where to go to find it.
You have to look up the individual item, right?
Can I see a bomb for that, please? If do you have something that you can show?
Nick, can you pull up a BC 472 on the item master? Or we can just send it to you later. And then the related items tab in the middle of the screen, third tab over. So there would be alternatives that we would have potentially in our inventory. So those are all identical items, the only difference is the material. It's a different
Okay.
material it's being made out of,
Okay,
but the bomb does not automatically say we're out of stock on BC 472. It does not
Right.
automatically direct you to that other item to substitute. It's just a reference point on it.
got it. Got it. So you can basically use any one of those as a related item. And
Potentially, yeah.
that's okay. But when you set up your inventory, they're different items. And when you want to look at your inventory counts, you want to say, I have 79 of BC 562 and et cetera, correct? You want to see your inventory separately.
Yeah.
But
Now, again, let me ask you this question. Are they essentially the same part, or are they just because if I don't have one, I can use the other?
no, they would,
Different parts.
It's, one could be steel, one could be stainless steel,
Oh,
one
they're
could be
different parts.
cast steel.
Yeah,
You know, they're just different materials. They look the same,
yeah.
but they're used in different applications, and we might be able to substitute one of those depending on the application.
Depending on the application. Okay, all right. And this is
I think I would talk about like wall threads.
this is a
So
hammer,
if
right?
you have 6-foot chunks, you're on a foot, you cut from the 6 foot.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, but you have to have both those items in your inventory. That's what I thought was
Gotcha.
originally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, go ahead, Mayor.
No, I'm just again, I know so on your bomb, you're calling only one, and it could be only one of these, right? Is there, and the one that's called on the bomb would be preferred, correct? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the one on the bottom is the preferred one, and if we have it in inventory, that's the one we would use.
Yeah.
If it's not in inventory, then we would go to this reference area and
Mhm.
say, do we have any of these in stock? And if so, would that work in this particular instance?
Right.
It may not, like, it may be.
Engineering decision.
Yeah, the engineers might come back and say, listen, even though you got this titanium bolt,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna work. The threads are wrong, this is wrong, whatever. That's just
You're
a
exactly.
very manual process. There's nothing really automated.
A
if it
fully
does.
threaded
Yeah.
bolt versus a shoulder bolt, like, well, maybe you could use fully threaded if you don't have a shoulder bolt.
Right.
I get
No.
that.
The thing is,
You want the system of doing this stuff, though, right?
No,
I don't
you
think so.
just want to show, hey, we're out of this one, we have these options. to pick from.
3-inch bolt.
You can send
them a 3.5.
yeah. We'll definitely get to this issue when we get to this, because the reason why I'm asking this question, because we might be throwing MRP off, and we might just not even do run these through MRP either, right? What I'm saying is, these are inventory items, correct? Did I ask that question already? If I did, I apologize. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, so yeah, the way we should run these and model this is that we shouldn't we should handle them outside of MRP if they're called, if there's demand for them and they're not available. We shouldn't ask MRP to say, okay, let's create a work order or something, or a purchase order. Well, let's not do that. but we'll definitely get into those details. At the work order level, somebody will have to say, okay, I have to work with this work order. It's not complete. I have to substitute the item on the work order, even though the BOM is calling for one hammer type. But now I need to get another one, just because I need to get this job done. Somebody will have to go and update that work order and then release it.
That's what we want.
Okay. Okay, because, again, definitely would like to look at a BOM like of this and set up these items for you, and then take it from there, that show you how that is done in the system, right? A very specific example that how we'll do the MRP for this, or demand planning, whatever we end up doing. I'm just using one word, and then how do we build and substitute the item on it? Okay. Nice. Okay. We're 17 minutes out. I just want to make sure I ask the questions that I would like to ask. Do you have when it comes to paints and stuff, right? What does that process look like, and what do the BOMs look like for painting?
Paint does not be, as a material, paint is not pulled in on any bill of materials.
Okay.
It is consumable, it's cycle counted.
Yeah. You mentioned we talked about that. Now the question would be, is there a work order for painting, or is it on the final finished good, or is it's just consumed that is going to be part of the process, or is it just another work center in the last one of the finished goods?
It's a work center for the painting operation, and then
Just to capture lady.
yeah.
Yeah, it only captures the labor piece of it, and the material side of the paint is a non-inventory item
We could just roll that.
that
the
we,
overhead cost
yeah, we
of
roll
that.
into the overhead cost. You know, after we count it. You know,
Special. I mean, sometimes put that on.
That's on the job level only.
But it's still connected as an inventory item.
Yeah. So what we were just saying is, if it's a special paint call out from the customer spec, an item code is created to buy X amount of gallons, that is loaded on the job level only. On the work order, it's not in the structure for the BOM, the standard BOM on the system.
Okay. Now, what is it? Do we have an empty step 10? Is that what I'm seeing over here? Is
So
this
in this structure, all material is pulled in on operation 10.
okay? All materials, yeah, okay, got it. And why is there no description on this work center? I'm just curious.
So the net, or what were you asking?
No, you see the inspector, impactor, is that, I'm reading correctly? Yes, impactor. There's no description on the work center, there's just operation 10 and.
It's like you made a new one accidentally.
No,
All right.
he
Okay.
doesn't have it pulled up over there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, over here, yeah.
Yeah, we're only looking at the left side.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I was just, got it. There you go. All right, frame and all those go through, everything happened in operation 10, right? Let's continue. Yeah. Fun sale. Paint and clean is just the last operation in that share. How do you know what color to paint?
Through, it's not done through the system, it's done through change orders and the shop order. There's nothing on if it's a standard color paint that we have in our inventory, if we paint all of our mills the same, if they're just a standard one. That material is not pulled in. And then it would just be what the work order, shop order calls out in the instructions.
Understood. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So maybe we put that on your traveler, no, not traveler wouldn't capture it. Maybe some sort of a description that we kind of capture. Because standard is standard. Let me just not assume, I'm sure you have custom paint jobs, right?
I would love to see it on the work order. I mean, that's,
It's a back.
it can't happen. It can't happen, the wrong color be laid down.
Right, okay.
I'd rather capture it than not. You
Let
know,
me-
if that changes, I will see where.
Yeah,
It's nice as it be
I'll capture that
consumed,
for you.
they're not consumed on a regular basis.
Meaning if you had.
But right now, we have to do a cycle count.
Right, but if you had 5 gallons, you use 4, all.
Yeah, it's all gone.
It's all gone.
Close to, a lot closer to it now.
What's that?
Previously, it was all done. And it was done out of Ontario for well environment.
All right, that's perfect. Last question that I have right now, I might have some follow-ups as well when I'm going to look through the data that you sent us. Is cycle counts. How often do you do your cycle counts, and what's your strategy of cycle counting? If you can just give me a high-level overview of that.
So a high level view is we do not have a particular program in place at this time. We don't have, anything in A, B, C, D
Yeah.
statuses. We don't have anything like that currently in place for the frequency that needs to be counted.
Right.
A lot of ours are what I would call as needed. If something comes up short, we would go and try to count it, and then we would randomly pick things to count.
Right.
But I don't think, we don't have a formal program that kicks out these 5 items need to be counted on Monday. And then
Right.
next Monday, another 5 come out, and the next Monday, another, we don't have a regimented program like that. We just basically do what I would call ad hoc.
Right. Would you like to define items to some categories? Again, your bulks, your fast moving. I'm sure you know which ones they are.
No, it needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our point of going to bin locations, is to be able to call out, hey, let's go count these 10 bin locations and then make the adjustments.
Understood. Because it's really going to be mostly on your inventory items, but then again, the build to stock that you have 20% is what you're really counting. The rest should be in good. Yeah, that's how I might break it down. Like right now, I have all my, again, don't want to overburden you either, right? With a lot of cycle counts that you just don't have time for. Right.
Is it randomly generated, or you say, hey, I want this area done? Does that make sense?
It's
I
not
don't know.
random. It's not random, but we can set it up. We can break down your inventory in a fashion that you just count like 10% of your inventory or 5% of your inventory a week, right? Only. So we can break it down like that.
You can pick more important items.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely highlight what items we want.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Quarter,
this is gonna
say
be
we
one.
want this done once a quarter, every quarter.
I like
Yeah,
that random
absolutely.
thing, though, like.
It's called
that
the blind
keeps it
cycle
very
count.
simple.
I just don't know how it works.
Yeah, and you can make an on-demand cycle count as well. That what you're saying is absolutely doable. Like, just
But
pick these.
you can say, these are the items I want to randomly
Yeah.
buy.
I think that's what the ABC thing
Yes,
is.
ABCs are definitely that. A is usually your more frequent high dollar items.
Yeah.
So you would not count those, say, quarterly. And then
You would or wouldn't?
You would count them quarterly. Then the items that you maybe are seasonal, like, oh, this happens, we buy a whole bunch of steel and then we use it all, then we buy a whole bunch. That might be a B item, which they do twice a year.
Yeah.
Then your slow moving items might be C guys, and you're like, once a year's plenty. And then there's might be guys that you're like, I don't give a crap if we
Yeah,
ever
we've
count
got
that
some of
stuff,
those.
you know, like that's all your boneyard sitting out there, you know.
But if that was just kicking out 5 to 10 items a week that you had to do, that's pretty easy to manage. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what, and that's what it would do. It would take all your A items and say, hey, within this 3-month period of time, I'm gonna randomly select these to be counted. And then if you keep up on your counts throughout the entire quarter, at the end of the quarter, all your A items would be counted.
yeah.
That's a lot.
Could you do a percent of your AI, right? That'd be the,
Yeah.
We should be able to break it down.
yeah, yes, all right.
Yeah, we could break it down. We could,
Differentiate between what's issued and what is actually inventory of an item? Cause that's our hardest thing with cycle counts, is this one being issued to this job already, or do we count it as inventory, is it in WIP being made?
That's what you usually, that's the bin location. You're counting the bin location will do that.
yeah. Things in WIP would be much simpler to capture just because this shoe will be picked and issued to a work center location, right? And that's the top, we can call it the WIP location, right? Everything that gets picked and is issued to a work order is your WIP location. So that's pretty simple to figure out because it's there. Besides your sheets, maybe. But sorry.
No, keep going.
No, we're
No.
agreeing.
No, yeah, on the other stuff, right, the wood, I know we've done it much quicker. I do not know your warehouse. I was up in Wyoming where wood could be, you know, they used to count their wood pretty, for packaging and stuff. They used to count them very regularly, just because they needed to. And there were some other items like maybe it was, I think the wood was maybe every 2 weeks. Just to make sure that they consumed it, there wasn't much waste and there wasn't much scrap, and they had the right amounts. Sometimes you open a pallet and the pallet is just not worth it, so half the pallet wasn't good. So that's why there were reasons for them to do that in their process. I don't know if that's the same for you or not. But having said that, the quick answer is yes, we can break your counts down to something that works for you. You know, ABC is the general rule, but we can define what ABC means for you and how frequent do we run that for you. We don't want this, we want this process to assist you rather than impede your overall warehouse flow.
Yeah, because we do not have a warehouse head count that just does counts. It
Yeah.
would be somebody that's available that day, you know,
Yes.
either we're not that work there, maybe their machine is broken that day.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I don't have anything to do. Hey, you could do these counts on type of thing.
Okay. I'm in we're almost at the end and I'm good. I don't have any more questions. I know I might have some follow-ups. I've taken some notes that I want to follow up on and see we might set up another call this week regarding these high-level issues if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, if you have some simple questions that we could answer quickly,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
funnel those through me and I'll get them to the right people and get you
Yeah.
your answer as quick as
Yeah.
I can. You know, and if you find that you're just having so many more questions that you
Yeah.
can't
at
get
this
them all
point-
answered and it
True.
takes us a half hour to get back together and everyone just
Yeah.
answers them really quick, that's fine too, but you
No.
know, I don't wanna pull my, you know, I've got 10 people here all sitting
No,
around.
no, not like that.
If I don't have to, you know, don't
No.
have to use all their brains at the same time, I can.
Sure. I don't think I have that level of questions. If you can send me these outputs that we were just looking at to model, that would be really helpful. And the item details along with those, because I was just reading the numbers. If you can send us some more detail at the item level, we'd definitely like to see that. And I would like to see a detailed item card, an item structure. You know, I saw there was a lot of tabs. I just want to have a look at what that looks like in your system and what all information do we really need to capture in NetSuite for you, right? And there's multiple ways of doing that. I just want to choose the most efficient way of doing it and the most performant. Because the more data that you add to your item, the slower your screens become. You don't wanna do that. You wanna set it up in a way that it, you have the right amount of data and you have the right amount of performance as well in your system.
Nick and Robert and Brian will work on those for you to get you the
Thank
4 or
you.
5 different types of items that you're looking for that have all the different scenarios that we've talked about today. It'll take them some time to get it into Excel. It's not something that is easy to do, but it's something
Okay.
we've done in the past, so I know it can be done.
Yeah.
So we will get those over to you.
Thank you very much. And this big one as well,
Yeah, I'll get the smaller ones to you as fast as possible, and then I'll work on the bigger one.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Really good, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.